today a little holiday campfire kerosene stove cooking, or campfire cooking, however you want to cook, but definitely something you do to camp out. Really simple ingredients, and we're going to do a DIY oven that we put on top of this kerosene stove. And check out a video later on this stove. It's a cheap little stove, but it is not the star. Today it's going to be the sausage rolls. And if you stay tuned and watch out the next video, you'll see another version of the sausage roll, a super secret special dessert version that you can make at camp. All simple ingredients. I'm Jay. Come on along, let's get cooking. Usually I'm thinking about hors d'oeuvres and little snacky things this time of year, especially getting close to New Year, but I don't actually like pigs in a blanket, which is one of those common hors d'oeuvres that you see. I prefer sausage rolls, something a little bit more hearty. Done those up at camp a lot. You only need a few ingredients, so we're going to line those up, do it with a Canadian twist, so we can have a Christmas Canadian campsite kerosene stove cook-off. What I want to do is turn this into an oven. So, one of those things we get when we order fast food around here, some Chinese food or poutine or something. And yes, poutine or Canadian. Now, what I want is something on the bottom here to give some distance so that this doesn't burn up my beautiful puff pastry. So what I'm going to do is take the pie lid, nothing fancier, bend it in. So bending it in. Me too, pie lid, or you can get away with the cardboard on top like an oven lid. What I'm doing here is crumpling this up. And I don't want it completely flat, because I want to put this crumpled up piece here, just down here, and I want that as a standoff. Okay, that's going to keep those puff pastries from burning too much. We don't want super direct heat, but we're going to use this to trap the heat when we put it on the Kero stove. It's nice. I'm going to bend this side up. So bending the sides up gives me a lip. Oh, and there goes the tree. A little too windy for the tree. Let's move you. We have real trees, but we'll move you back here. So I'm just bending that up. I don't want to pre-fit all this before I start doing my cooking creation. So this is not going to be beautiful. There's a guy named Red Green, and he always says, can't be handsome, it can be handy. All we're going to do is pop that on there and bend that lip around here. And that's just going to lock in place, and it won't even have to be perfect. Once we get some weight on here, we're going to have a little distance. So what I might do is grab a little bit of paper towel and oil that. Although this tin foil should be fine. Towel. Okay, so some paper towel, a little bit of oil. Not a lot, just enough to get that wet. And that'll wipe down. There we go. All right, the oven is almost ready. Star of the show is going to be the sausages and the puff pastry, although the Dijon mustard is going to bring things out a bit. And then some cheese. So this is a four ingredient recipe, right? We've got two different types of sausages. We're going to focus on this one called Great Canadian. This is awesome. So it's got bacon, cheese curds, maple syrup in there, and then your pork sausage. You've got your standard breakfast sausage. So what can you put in your puff pastry? Well, pretty much anything. If you're going to do a sausage roll, we're going to use sausage, but you can use anything roll. The Dijon, just for some flavor. These are just easy to bring to camp, right? Cheese strings or baby bells. You can bring whatever kind of cheese you want. You can pre-cook these or cook them on a stick first, but you do want your sausages cooked first. It makes the pastry easy to handle. I'm going to lay that out on a cookie sheet, and we'll get cooking, and we'll see what I mean. Let's get it open. So our puff pastry, this particular brand from our local grocery store, President's Choice, and we've got a couple sheets here, so I'll put the extra on here on the back bench. And this will do a fair amount. What we'll first do is take it out of plastic. Don't throw that on the campsite, folks. Make sure you're putting that in the garbage. Now what's handy is it's already got its own wax paper. It's still frozen. This one's a bit cold because it's cold outside. It's been sitting here a while. It's going to be a little brittle. So we'll work with it a little. It's better when it's a bit warmer, but you can still work with it. Re-roll that. Okay, so that should be about the right length, right? Cut that side here, over here. Roll this one out. And you don't have to be exact here, folks. This is camp cooking. It's not about exact, right? Okay, well, actually, I'll just use that knife anyway. Grab a little Dijon. Just a little. Doesn't need a lot. So we're almost ready. get this cooking. I'm going to take one of the bigger ones and one of the smaller ones, but we do need the cheese too. So it's going to get really messy when you have one utensil, and if you have a control box if you're a scout, you're going to have all kinds, and you got friends, so people can take turns doing their different jobs at camp. Get the cheese out of there. I should slice that right from the beginning, but there we go. You could split it in half depending on how many people you're sharing with, or shove that right in the sausage. So I'm going to reach down here. I've got one of these great Canadian sausages. Remember, bits of bacon. It's even got some cheese curd in there. We're going to cut that open, and they were pre-cooked the other night. And I just pop them in the fridge. Sorry, I gotta always remember work on camera. So cutting that open, okay, we're gonna fire this right inside here. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Is it gonna fit? You gotta kind of work with it, warm it in your hands. You do want to close that up, seal that up so it doesn't get all over the place. There it is. So just squeeze it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just your hands will actually, my hands are warming up the dough. Reach over, grab the camp oven we made. Remember, just that piece of pie plate is slightly bigger. Place that on top. Then you have room for probably 2 big ones and 2 small ones, but we're probably going to cook up only 2 or 3 in here. Now, the breakfast sausage. You can see we can probably do 2 on here, as a matter of fact. And different ways you can do that. I don't know. It's roughly squarish anyway. So, as a blind person, my sense of guesstimation may be off a little. All I'm going to do is come in little bits now. That's always fun because it's so brittle. Just bend that on there. Usually it rolls a little better than that. And squish that on there. But you're going to need a couple of these. These are not super big. Got 2 small ones in there. It's going to puff right up. Great big one. So you've got your kind of lunchtime supper, although I'd eat those for breakfast, and 2 breakfast sausages. These ones are maple breakfast sausages, a little bit of Dijon, and this one, no Dijon with cheese. And my little guy doesn't like that as much anyway. I've got the Dijon with cheese on the great Canadian cheese curds, bacon, and pork sausage. What we're going to do, we're going to seal that in inside here. Okay. Got one little piece left. I need to get some more total because it's hard to only make one. So what I'm doing, just crimping down the edges. You don't have to do that super crazy. We're going to put that on the kerosene stove. We'll cut back to that and check it in a few minutes. So I just thought once I started seeing smoke and time to have a peek, I think some of that grease is hitting that flame. What we'll do is probably put that back down on the cookie sheet. We'll see how it's going. Let's do it all right for a little while. I think something has leaked open in my cook. We'll find out while we open it up here. See how hot that is to the touch. Are we ready? These are ever going to be. Oof. Well, okay, so it's puffing up pretty good. The bottom's still sort of stuck. Good thing I oiled that. Let's see if this is a little hot. Let's see how things look underneath there. Oh, not too well. It didn't come out the way I thought it did. It actually is doughier on the bottom, so that's got to be something that's dripped over the sides and burning on there. That's all right. Put you back in there. Back on top of here for a little while. Yeah, so what's happening, I think, is some of that grease, because this is a greasy cook. You got sausage, you got cheese, you got puff pastry. Something on there is hitting the heat. One of the toughest things for me is waiting when things take a little longer sometimes at the campfire. A lot of times you're doing things a little different than you're used to, and you have to experiment, and each cooking situation is a little different. But you can smell so many smells in there, some seasoning. Very impatient to wait here, and I want to have a look. There's a nice golden color. There's a little bit of a crispness to the outside. You can hear some sizzle now. Some stuff is dripping down. So that's burning my fingertips. Burning the fingers right here. I'm going to move that over and set that to cool. But so a little bit of cheese or something has melted or gone rogue over there. I think that could be what's going on. It's just a separate piece of, oh, that's just some dough crisping up. It's like its own little mini, that's hot. Anyway. Oh, puff pastry tastes great. That one was nice. Like, what I really like is, and this might be my impatience, they're not over crisp. I've had that before, and they're okay, and you can scrape it off, but you never want to have. That one's falling apart a little crumbly on that one, but that's okay. Very greasy down here. We're gonna let these cool and sample them in a minute. Let's have a look in here. Oh, a little sizzle. There's more grease coming off of there. Wonderful. Start with that breakfast. It's a little warm, so hopefully I don't burn my mouth. We'll see how this tastes for lunch. Oh, you can hear the crispy. A little soft where the grease is, but the top part's nice and crisp. And definitely got that nice maple flavor. Just a little bit. Something else that probably breakfast sausage seasoning and a lot of butter. Pardon me. I wish I could share. Oh, it's a little hot. I mean, how rude. Jay, don't talk with your mouth full. I can savor the butter after. These bigger ones. See, a little flaky on the end. It's kind of breaking off, and then the bottom is really greasy, just the way we cooked it. So, the cheese grease. I heard the crumbling falling off into the pan. Oh my. That, to me, campsite holiday magic for me. I'll tell you, with the cheese curd and the bacon already in there and a little extra cheese infused on some seasoning and just the puff pastry, and look at the golden brown on that. That is awesome. Oh, you could hear that? No, we're gonna make a great lunch and supper. It's so hard to just eat half here. We'll leave it at that for now. Let me know what you would put in a roll and what kind of dough you would use. I hope you found that tasty. Thanks for coming along. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for all the support.